become more of a cult hit over those 27 years since it came out originally?
Well, that's a question I think I can answer in no less than 17 paragraphs.
Okay.
I think what happened with the film. You want me to just speak louder? Yes. Well, I think I can manage to do that. I think what happened with the film. One, when it first came out, of course, the expectations were incredible. This was supposed to have been the film that had the most state-of-the-art special effects. At the time, it had most state-of-the-art sound. And at the time, we also ended up with the most state-of-the-art censorship. The MPAA really had a problem with this film. One of the reasons for it was, of course, that what we tried to do is what you can now only do, and you can do CGI very easily, which is do effects in one shot. What it did was it gave it a very realistic, a very gruesome feel. Something I've always done with violence, is I don't particularly like violence as a, it's not my idea of a teddy bear cuddle up at night kind of thing. So I've always kept my violence rude, crude, and painful. I don't do violence that looks like someone's beer commercial. What happened was the MPAA, of course, all these old folks over in LA at the time just looked at it and said, oh my God, we cannot let this go out. So they started by cutting out frames, cutting out minutes, cutting out more and more.
Well, and at the time, what had just happened is when the film was just about to go to the ratings board, John Lennon had been killed. And then all of a sudden there was a big backlash against gratuitous violence against in the press and in the media. And this film was really the big victim of that. Right?
We were the victims of it. I mean, it's the same time, you remember when John Belushi died of an overdose and no one in LA ever heard of drugs? Well, the same thing happened with us because, unfortunately, with the situation with John Lennon's assassination, which was a really senseless piece of misfortune in their history, I think. But anyway, it happened. We were the ones that ended up bearing that brunt. By the time the film came out, I call it my not-so-bloody Valentine, or it was kind of anemic. But what happened was the underlying reality. What we wanted to do is we also wanted to make this film different. We didn't want to do your usual Ken and Barbie from suburbia who just get slashed one after the other with absolutely no social background and story. We tried, and I think subliminally now, this is one of the reasons why it still works, we tried to give it some social conscience. These are workers. This was the first time that young people actually had to face the idea that we may not have jobs. This was a phenomenon. The Rust Belt was just starting to come in. Mines were closing. Factories were closing. These kids had a future of hardship ahead of them. The other thing about this film is also, if you notice, one of the things about it, we snuck in a sort of bit of subversiveness. The worker, this is the revenge of the workers against the supervisors. It's the supervisors that betrayed the workers. Because the supervisors were too busy enjoying their life and having lots of money and going to parties. Sounds something like right now, doesn't it? While the working class was getting poorer and poorer. So I think all those things tended to resonate over the years with it. And then what happened in the early 90s was when My Bloody Valentine, the art punk group, named themselves after this film. That got a lot of young people who were, may have been a few years old when the movie first came out, to go back and look at it. And then with the internet and with video and with DVDs, it just ended up somehow or other very slowly growing. And I'm astonished, actually, to tell you the truth. I'm proud and astonished that after all these years, so many people are over here in the dark waiting for this movie. Watch it out.
I have to interrupt. We have to evacuate the theater. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. These emergency lights, apparently, the power's off in the entire block, and no one can let us know how long it's going to be off. And when these lights go, it'll be crazy in here. Get everybody out of here safely. And
If you go that way, there's some bars open.
yeah.
Lights off.